Good evening and welcome to the Jon Gaunt podcast. So here's your question. Is Britain, the United Kingdom, becoming a third world country? I say yes, it is. And I say Birmingham is just the tip of this huge iceberg, which sums up how our country is spiraling downwards. And I've got some suggestions of how we stop that. Love to have your views as well, please. Get signed in now. Start sending in your comments. But is Britain becoming a third world country? I've also got something very interesting to tell you about last night's podcast about child sex exploitation up in the northern cities. But let's concentrate first. On this question. Are we becoming a third world country? Or am I overreacting? Let me just tell you with Birmingham, that has to be solved today. Well, yesterday, really. We need to send the troops in. We need to get the rubbish off the streets because it's a health hazard. That's why I got myself a little rat in my picture behind me. There's a rat in the kitchen, as UB40 would sing. Well, there's a rat all over the streets of Birmingham. I'm not blaming the unions. I'm saying this is half the unions and half the council. But forget all of them for the minute. What we need to do is send in the troops. You may say, well, that's not fair. Why should they clear up the mess? I say, because this is a crisis. It's making us look stupid around the world. This is our second city, and it's a stinking cesspit. I will say something else, though. I lived in Birmingham for a long time. I was a student there. I worked there as well. And let me tell you, it's always been a bit of a shithole. It really has. And those areas where all the rubbish mainly are, which is Selly Oak, Sparkhill, Alum Rock, those areas, people do just chuck their rubbish out on the streets. You've seen it yourself. You've seen the pictures on the TV. There's mattresses and settees. It isn't just black bin bags. I've got a story to tell you about my mattress and Coventry City Council today. No wonder there's fly tipping when you got morons like that in charge of taking away your bulky objects. That's coming up on the show today as well. Lots of personal stuff, lots of direct comments, but primarily I'm saying Birmingham is symptomatic of what's wrong with our country. And I'm also going to tell you it's not just government's fault or indeed the council's, it's our fault. We've not taken enough responsibility. But first and foremost, we need the troops in there. We need this stuff cleared off the street. Next thing, I'm going to put Unite in the frame. I'm hearing that Unite don't really want to deal. They're the union who are looking after the bin men. And the problem is, of course, who do Unite fund? Who do they fund? Oh, there's a surprise. It's the Labour Party. Starmer can't afford to send the troops in because if he does send them in, he might lose a backer. I think there's a political element to this as well. But I'm willing to put that to one side. Let's get the troops in there. Let's get the rubbish off the street. And the rats. I started saying the rats as big as cats as a joke a couple of weeks ago. Everybody's using it now as the term to sum up Birmingham, but it could sum up the whole of Britain. I've said UK is dying, rats, rubbish, and ruin. It sums up what's wrong with the country. We've got overflowing rubbish. We've got bin men on strike. We've got a broken infrastructure. Everything that we fund out of the public purse doesn't work properly, whether it's the NHS, whether it's council services. And how difficult is it to run a council? All you've got to do is put the street lights on, empty the bins, fat chance, and fill the paddling pool up in the summer holidays for the kids. How can a council go bankrupt? Don't forget, that's the other thing as well. Birmingham, Labour-run council, I think since 2012, completely bankrupt. They're not the only one. Labour councils all over the country are going bust, but also there's a few Tory ones as well. I'm saying the overflowing rubbish, the broken infrastructure, The political failures have left many areas of our green and pleasant land, well, that's a fat chance. They've left many of them looking like war zones. The state of some of our inner cities is a disgrace. I'm not even talking about the back streets. Walk down the high street. Walk down the Fosel Road in Coventry. Go down in parts of Handsworth. It's a disgusting pigsty. And when did we start having to board all our windows with shutters? Doesn't that kind of sum up the decline of Britain? I was walking to the cafe this morning, and even the optician, he's had to board up. And I live in quite a nice area. He's boarded up. Well, I say that. A guy got attacked with a hammer at 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon a few weeks ago. Is there such a thing as a nice area anymore? But they've got shutters on the opticians. Who's going to screw an opticians? But clearly it's happening, or people are just breaking the windows. So our areas look like war zones. I went to see the Taj Mahal. If you ever get a chance, go in India. It takes forever to get there. We got a car, Lisa and I. But once you get there, you go into this town. Is it Dhaka or something? No, it's not Dhaka. But anyway, it looks like downtown Kabul after we bombed it into the Stone Age. But people are living there and working there. And then you turn this corner and there's this magnificent Taj Mahal, which really is a wonder of the world. I tell you the weirdest thing doing that trip, coming back, suddenly the car driver slowed down, the taxi driver. So I said to him, what's up? Is there a crash? He said, no. Farmer. I said, oh, yeah, really? So we went about another 3 miles. There's a bloke, a farmer, and he's herding his buffaloes down the fast lane of the motorway. Weird place. Another example of that is I went into a bar in India, right? And then, not an elephant. What was it that came in? I've forgotten what it was now. Oh, that was a buffalo as well. A bull or a cow came into the bar. Standing in a bar, and a bull walks in. There's no punchline. That's just India. But we don't live in India. We live in the United Kingdom. We're meant to have an infrastructure that works. We're meant to have a society that works. But it's all falling down. And it isn't just government. It's us. It's the casual kid who thinks it's perfectly acceptable to put their feet on the bus seats or on the seats of a train. It's not acceptable. It's the bloke who buys a packet of fags and throws the paper on the floor. Do you remember when we had Keep Britain Tidy? You couldn't do that now. You couldn't do it now. It's all gone too far. Britain is turning into a third world country. And I've also got to say this as well. It's also because we've got too many people. There's too many people in too small spaces in this country. And that has to be addressed. I'm not blaming it on all those people. I'm saying just the sheer number is too many. That's why you can't get a doctor's appointment or a dentist's appointment. So we've got rat-infested streets to dustbin worker strikes, and Birmingham City Council's collapsed under the weight of all this. I said on my blurb, under the weight of incompetence, debt and neglect. But it's also because they had this stupid thing where they had to start paying everybody the same amount of money for similar jobs because they hadn't been doing it correctly. So there's an element of woke political correctness. Net results, our inner cities are looking like dumps. I realised today I grew up in a concrete jungle. Oh, what a great, what, 2 great songs. Bob Marley's version, love it. Also love the Specials Concrete Jungle as well. But I was reading a report. I was looking into this. Concrete cities it was talking about. It was talking about Birmingham, Coventry and Hull, right? All 3 of those cities I've lived in. Is it something to do with me? But I saw the quote by Charles, King Charles, Prince Charles as he was, when he called Birmingham a carbuncle, an ugly concrete carbuncle. He was right. And when he said the library looked like a place to incinerate books, not to read books, they've knocked it down now. But they've redesigned Birmingham, but it's still basically an SH1TE hole, isn't it? Eh? And the Brummers, I don't know how they're so cheery. What a dump you live in. And you contribute to it because we don't have a broken windows policy. We don't have a zero tolerance policy. So kids break things. There's graffiti. What other country in the world, apart from America, has allowed graffiti to become an art form? I don't mind a bit of Banksy where it's clever, but there's a kid in Coventry, they still haven't caught him, who wrote the word smile on all the buildings in Coventry. The local paper, which nobody reads anymore, they were sort of lauding this person like a hero because he's writing the word smile. Isn't that great? No, it effing isn't, because he's doing it on other people's property. So you got Birmingham Council collapsed under the weight of incompetence, debt, and neglect. And its cities across the whole United Kingdom just plagued by crime, poverty, homelessness, and overcrowding. I told you about my thing about the military guys. It's now 35,000 people have forwarded on that tweet I put up, a little snippet from one of my shows. What I'm saying, we should not be providing homes for people from outside the country until every single homeless person, and particularly our war heroes, are accommodated. It is a shocking indictment of our country that we've got ex-military personnel screaming in the middle of the streets, probably got post-traumatic, got nowhere to live. It's wrong. It's wrong. And we have to change it. We have to force change. We have to force change with our leaders, because I've had enough. I'm sure you have as well. I don't want to live in a third world country. And all the people who have come from the third world, they clearly don't want to live there either. They want to live here. But let me tell you, those areas that I talked about in Birmingham, and they're in every city in this country, those people don't give NSSH1T. They have the dustbins in the front. That, I think the decline of Western life began when they got rid of the metal dustbins. Do you remember when a dustbin man used to come into your back garden, through an entry at the back of your house, pick up the dustbin on his shoulder, on his donkey jacket, and then go and whack it in the back of the lorry? Then he'd walk back with the dustbin, put it back in your garden and close the gate. What do they do now? You have to put your wheelie bin outside, and a lot of terrace houses you can't get round, so people leave them outside all the time. In Oxford, where I've just been recently, they have a bin that you're meant to put all your food waste in, but when they empty them, they just chuck them back on the pavement. So we've probably got rats there as big as cats. There's no care. And they're all there in the high-vis. I'm not having a go at the dustbin men. They've got a terrible job. But they're in all their high-vis jackets and the rest of it. But our streets are filthy. Absolutely filthy. And your council tax is going up on Monday. Record council tax. What do they spend the effing money on? That's what I want to know, whether they're Labour or Conservative. That's why scrap all this diversity nonsense. Scrap all the petty, we've got to do this. We're twinned. Coventry, we're twinned with 26 different cities. Now, I know we're the city of reconciliation and peace because of the Second World War, but that's just over the top. We can't afford it. We did the City of Culture. It went bust. Nobody has been put up on a charge. Millions of pounds went missing. Nothing happens because they're public sector workers. It's absolutely disgraceful. And now Bradford's the city. You couldn't make this up, could you? It's now the City of Culture. So we got Labour councils, Tory councils, national government. They've failed to maintain our public services and our infrastructure, both from the NHS to housing and indeed law and order. Yeah? Can we stop all this poncing around with law and order? The latest thing is West Yorkshire Police. I used to represent their federation, their union. They're not employing any white people. They said, no, don't bother applying if you're white. We need more Asian people and black people. Well, that's racism. Don't you want the best possible people you can get? And also, when a copper turns up, I want him to look about 6 foot tall, even the women. I don't want all the extras from the Snow White panto because they're out of work because it's not December. I just want to go back to Unite. The reason that strike isn't being solved, the reason the army aren't there, let me tell you, it's because Keir Starmer gets funded. The Labour Party get funded by Unite and they can't afford to upset them. If I'm wrong, sue me. Right, this is the Jon Gaunt Show. If you like what I talk about, please fund me. You can do it easily. You just go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt, JONGAUNT, and give me anything from £5 upwards. Each coffee is £5 or a beer, whatever you want to buy. And then you get your name on the screen if you're watching it on the screen. Don't forget, all these shows are always on repeat. And also we turn them into podcasts as well. What value that is. Brilliant. You can also become a super fan on YouTube, on Jon Gaunt TV. Lots of people did that last night. Thank you very much indeed. And all the money I spend to support myself and develop these podcasts. I am the home of free speech. No one dictates to me what I talk about. And later, remind me, later in the show, I'll tell you about how I got into a little bit of trouble by daring to talk about the girls who were raped and abused up north. But let's take some messages. Sun King, YouTube. Even when the rubbish has been collected, the rats will still be about looking for food. They'll be entering shops and homes. You're right, especially as winter comes. Steve, evening, John. Yes, the council should be collecting the rubbish. But let's be honest, why are people just carrying on throwing their rubbish in the street? Surely these people can take rubbish to the tip. Yeah, some of them must have a car. You're right. But it's also, there's beds out there and there's settees. I'll give you a prime example. Yesterday, I phoned the council because they have this bulk thing where they come and pick up bulky stuff. We got an old double bed, a divan, right? So I want them to take it away. Rang them up, and the woman, it's not mine, it's my mother-in-law's. So the woman says, is she a pensioner? Yes. Okay, well, it's not $18.50. You can have it for $14.50. I said, that's very kind. She said, when you put it in the street, do not leave it on the drive or in your garden. It's got to be on the road. I said, what about the pavement? No, on the road. I said, well, that's not very sensible. It's dangerous, isn't it? And I said, well, I've undone the divan. She said, oh, it's a divan. That counts as 2 pieces. I said, why is that? She said, because it's in 2 pieces. That's 2 items. I said, well, shall I screw it back together again? No, it's 2 items. And then the headboard, that's 3 items. You can have 5 items in total, right? I said, what about the mattress? She says, is it stained? I said, well, yeah, it's about 30 years old. Yeah, I'm afraid it is. Well, we don't take that. I said, so what do I do with that then? She said, you have to take it to the dump. I've just explained I can't take it to the blooming dump. I haven't got a car big enough, right? So she said, well, what are you going to do? I said, well, I guess I'll just do what everybody else does. Oh, I've been seeing on Midlands today. I'll just throw it out on the street. She said, oh, you'll get fined if you do that. They're encouraging fly tipping with their attitude. You've still got to, in Coventry, you've still got to make an appointment to go to the dump as if we've still got COVID. You can take it to Kenilworth and Warwick. No one cares. When I moved out of my last house, I got rid of a load of stuff. Phoned up Warwick Council. They came and collected it. You can have as many bits of crap in the back of their truck as you wanted. They took the mattress. It's just nonsense. And so society is breaking down. That's that. I'll give you another example later. The troops won't go in, says Graham Fletcher. Why not, Graham? They'll do what they're told to do. That's their job. Steve, these people are using this as a crap hole, but then some of these people don't care. Why should they blame everyone but themselves? Gaunty, it's so depressing to see the state of our once great country, says Dormston on YouTube. Standards are dreadful and a thing of the past. Back in the day, we didn't have much, but by today's standards, we had everything. Well, I'll tell you what we had back in the day, my friend, and I don't want to sound like an old fogey here. We had a thing called, or Aretha Franklin would call RESPECT, or respect. And it was self-respect. Because if you don't have self-respect, how can you respect anybody else? That's what's happened. That's what's declined in this country. Absolutely. Chopper, MK50, YouTube. We're worse than a third world country, Gaunty. I lived in Nepal for a while, and I've also spent time in South America. The people are lovely and really embrace their culture despite being poor. Roseth22 says, it truly is a health hazard. Thank you very much indeed. Dormston says, import the third world, and what do they expect to happen? My granddad grew up in the once beautiful Handsworth Wood area of Birmingham, but now you would not let Rose's dog live there. How's the seedlings? Thank you for asking. She told me they're fantastic. They're still growing. But it isn't just about people from the third world coming here. It's also about us. We've got no self-respect. The people who've lived here for years. That's what I think. I got off the train. No, I was getting on the train, and so you stand by, don't you? Stand by either side of the doors, and you let people get off first, and then you get on. No, not this girl. She just walks through and pushes the people who are coming off the train out of the way because she wants to get on the train. I said to her, "Hey, love, careful, let people off first." Her reply, "FUCK off, fatty or old man," or I can't remember what she said. She was a young girl, about 20, 21. She's a student. You could tell she was a student at the university. How she's a student, I don't think she could add up, right? But you know what I'm trying to get at now. Anyway, anyone can be a student now. But where's the respect? There's no respect. Gaunty, dustbin men getting 22k a year here in Kidderminster. How can you live on that? Up the bin men in Birmingham, bring down the government. Well, Philip, that's great. Freedom for tooting. And that's great for you to be a right rabid socialist, my friend. And I actually believe they should be paid more money, but I don't agree with the way it's being handled at the moment. And this idea that they can do this and go on strike, they've been on strike for 6 weeks. They got a pay rise before. If you listen to the beginning of the program, I did slag off the council as well as the unions. But now we've got all this on the streets. It's a health hazard. But I'll tell you something else I'd do with Birmingham. In these shitty little areas where the trouble is, I'd clean the streets down, get rid of all the rubbish. But then let's have massive fines. When somebody does chuck the mattress in the front garden or tries to repair their car in the front garden and then leaves it. We've all seen this. Another thing I've always wondered as well, why is there always a boat in somebody's front garden? Yeah, especially in Coventry. We live nowhere near the sea. These people need clamping down on, and we need to have a broken window, zero tolerance policy so that none of us drop litter. All of us look after. I was thinking about my mum the other day. When we lived in Bulwer Road in Radford, her and Pat Keylott, the lady next door, we had those red doorsteps. And again, this sounds like, oh, in the old days, but she got that cardinal red polish. Do you remember that stuff? And she used to polish the doorstep once a week. And the shops across the road, there was like a little parade corner of shops. Each shopkeeper every day would brush out the front of their shop, the pavement where their shop is. No one cares now. So you have to wade through rubbish to get into your cafe or into your newspaper shop. This is where we're going wrong. The whole country. So I do not want us to start saying it's down to either the bin men or down to foreigners. That's just nonsense. See, Dave Edwards, import the third world, become the third world. I accept some people have come from the third world. They're not the people who've made it a complete DOS hole, though, are they? It's us as well. Because if you just want to keep blaming them, it's always them, it's always the other, how do we move forward? Maybe it's the council. The fact that we no longer have the weekly collection. It's bi-weekly, isn't it? You got to try and remember which day it is, which dustbin, and the rest of it. I still maintain we should move, if we're going to have bins, wheelie bins, let's move to the Spanish thing, where at the end of every street, there's huge bins. You take your rubbish down there, and then overnight, the lads and lasses come and empty the big bin. That's one way to get on top of it. At the moment, we're just talking about rubbish, right? But I want to talk about how we are as a society. Why we've got more means of communication, but we communicate less than ever. Why we're just so foul to each other. Why it's so dog eat dog. How do we change that? Gaunty, same Philip Powell again. Can you only make 1 point? Gaunty, bin men in Kidderminster, 22k a year. How can you live on that? Time to bring down Starmer and his racist grooming gang government. Well, they're not doing the grooming, but I understand what you mean. It is an absolute disgrace what's happening on the grooming gangs. Do you remember yesterday I joked and I said, oh, I bet this video will get pulled down. It won't. It never got pulled down. However, it did get limited ads put on it, which is it's up to them with YouTube. It's their discretion, I guess. But people evidently don't want to advertise on a video talking about sexual abuse. It's one of the things, I didn't know this. I found out today. So I can't have adverts on that video. So I can't earn any money off it. I wasn't exploiting those girls. I was talking about their plight. I was really talking about the way the government haven't given them an inquiry. But then you wonder why these things haven't happened. Because the government and the political parties, not just Labour, Tories as well, they know no one's going to pick up on it. This is why the MSM never really talked about the rape gangs, because they didn't want to turn any of their potential customers off. This is why Labour are treading around it like they're on eggshells. I must say, wasn't it brilliant that today that ex-race equality guy is now on Sky, Trevor, you know the guy I'm talking about. He's really slagged off Labour and said it's disgusting and it's political and it's wrong, the fact that they're not going to have these inquiries. And it does look as if they're doing a U-turn. So let's wait and see if that happens. But just my little example today where they're nervous, it's one of their terms, along with murder, encouraging suicide, talking about sexual abuse. I don't understand that. I really don't understand it. I understand it before it was proven, but now it's proven that it's been neglected. So I don't know. I might try and talk to them about it, but in the end, you just get on with your life, don't you? Stop legal aid. Stop sending money to Ukraine and the world, says David Edwards. That might help. People with boats in their garden. It's from winning prizes on Bullseye in the 80s, Gaunty. Yeah, that's good. Jim Bowen. Yeah, there was always a boat on that, wasn't there? Prizes were much better on Bullseye than on the Generation game. But let's just come back then, if we can, before we finish. So why are we like this? Why do we accept for our public services to be so dreadful? Why aren't we now somehow, why isn't there some politician saying, let's work together? Because it's public apathy as well, isn't it? It's public apathy. Why have we sort of given up on it? Why have we given up on it? I thought about this, when I was driving for that posh food company, begins with an O, right? What a most dreadful job in the world that was. But anyway, I'm sure there's worse jobs, but I was doing that. Brummies, I was delivering into places like Tamworth and the outskirts of Birmingham. They always said, "Whoa, you're right. How you doing? Well, yeah, where are you from?" And I'd say Coventry, because I hate it. People say, "Are you from Birmingham?" Because we haven't got that terrible accent, have we? Anyway, they'd often go, "Oh, yeah. I was brought up in Aston. Aston, it was a lovely area when I lived there. And have you seen it now?" And then they'd go into this semi-racist tirade about how the third world has destroyed Aston. I don't know whether Aston was a nice place. In all my life, knowing Birmingham, the whole of Birmingham's been a dump. But anyway, they'd have a go. It's just weird. So they move out of that area and the area declines. And it's the same in every city, isn't it? And there's just too many people in our inner cities. Maybe I'm particularly sensitive to this because most of my adult life, I've lived in the countryside. I brought my kids up in the countryside. I'm back in Coventry now. I'm not exactly in the inner city, but it's weird. It's weird, isn't it? And it's weird how people don't care. They just drop their litter. They don't put their... I couldn't live in... I don't live in a terrace house, but I couldn't live in a terrace house and leave my dustbin outside the front. I couldn't. I'd have to walk around, find an entry and get it into the back or take it through the house. I don't know. Where's your self-respect? And people who don't do their gardens. There's this latest thing, isn't it? Wilding, to wild your garden so you don't cut the lawns. I was thinking, well, there's loads of areas in this country where they've been doing it for ages. We haven't called it sustainability or the green agenda. We've called it lazy people, not gardening, not doing their garden. I don't know. If you have any proof of grooming gangs, you end up in prison, says Nigel Gordon. Trevor Phillips. Yeah, that's the man, Dormston. If you get a chance, the clips are all over YouTube. Have a look at what Trevor Phillips has been saying about this Labour government and the way they've tried to change the terms of the inquiry. What have we got next? John, let's be honest. Nobody in the government has a backbone to stand up because the nandy-pandy country we live in. Maybe it's up to you and us to sort it out for them, says Steve. But where would you start, Steve? Where would you start? I mean, that's why I say the army's got to come in. You've got to clean the streets up, number one. But I found this with the dog when I was walking my daughter's dog these last 12 days. The amount of people, most people in that village picked up the dog poo, right, and in a bag, but then loads of people left it under a tree, and they obviously left it there and didn't come back and collect it. I saw some on a cottage windowsill. Somebody had obviously left it there, carried on walking because they didn't want to walk with their dog poo in their hand, even though it's their dog's poo. I just can't get my head around that. I just can't get my head around that. And that's before we move on to safety. I told you the other day about, going to Leamington. I don't want to have to worry. Can I walk down that part of the street, that part of the parade? I don't want to worry when my daughters are out or my wife's out. I don't want to live like this. But how do we change it? I don't see anybody selling hope. That's what I'm saying. And there's that idiot Starmer today. Oh, we're going to open up this airport. Do we really need Doncaster Airport reopened? And I don't know about the theme park. I'm sure that'll bring loads of jobs to Bedfordshire. But isn't it all a bit Mickey Mouse, if you pardon it? Because it's like, it's not the number one priority, is it? But Starmer's patting himself on the back again about the airport. He keeps making these videos about our supreme leader, about how wonderful we are. He's a bit like Mussolini. Mussolini in the war, he used to move his aeroplanes around depending on where the propaganda film was going to come from. To make out he had loads of planes. It's like Comical Alley in Iraq. Oh, the Americans will never take Baghdad. Oh, what's that in the background? It's not a rat. It's the tanks rolling in to Baghdad. It's just rubbish. Nigel Gordon's just made a good point. He says, more airports, isn't that more pollution? Precisely. And by the way, where is Ed Miliband? Where's Wally? He's disappeared. Thistle says, I can't get my head around people leaving their dog poo near the bins. Yeah, they do that as well. They don't. If the bin's too full, they don't want to put their hand in to drop their bag in, even though their poo, dog's poo, and everybody else's dog's poo is in a bag. What's all that about then? What's that all about? Dunstan Cook says, not in Worcester, it's beautiful, Gaunty. Oh, very good to you. Every woman and young girl should be allowed to walk in the streets of the UK feeling safe. But that has just been put to bed by Labour government. Stop making excuses for the lowlife. I hope you're not thinking I'm not making excuses for anyone, mate. Although I see today they're going to have a load more policemen or police officers. They've now decided they need to be on the streets. You couldn't make this up, could you? So Birmingham, there's that rat. He looks like he's on my shoulder, doesn't he? That's that great comic sketch with Eric Morecambe when he comes in and he's got a cat. He's dressed up as Long John Silver and he's got a cat on his shoulder. And Ernie Wise says, why you got a cat? And he goes, he ate the parrot or something like that. Brilliant. They were fantastic. Anyway, I'll digress. Let's back to the main point. The main point is that Birmingham epitomizes what is wrong with our country. Councils are running amok, spending money like it's going out of fashion on nonsense. Dance classes, celebration every religion in the world apart from Christianity. It was just rubbish. Teach kids about the religions, of course, within RE, so they know the major religions. But there's no need to have the Festival of Lights for everybody, the Diwali. There's no need. There's no need for it. This is a Christian country, if it's anything at all. I mean, I'm not even sure we need to bother about that anymore. But there we are. Then we need councils to spend the money on what it needs to be spent on. I'm fed up with the potholes. They reckon they're going to repair them. We've got more potholes than downtown Kabul. When I went, and once we got off the motorway and we went to the Taj Mahal in India, the roads there, some of them were better surfaced than ours. Why? Never used to be like this. Why is it like it now? And why do we tolerate it? We pay more and more tax, road tax, vehicle tax, everything. How come we're living in terrible, terrible conditions? Somebody has got to get a grip. Do you agree with me? And this is why I'm saying it's not just about blaming everybody else. We've got to be part of that change. So I'd like a politician to start selling hope, to start selling a brighter future. Of course, that means we do need to control our borders as well, means we need to have strong law and order. And we need to, if somebody breaks a window, we need to get it repaired. And the person who broke the window, I'm using the window as a metaphor, needs to be in court. They need to be punished for that activity. Are you with me or against me? And it's simple things like school uniform and stuff like that, and discipline, males being teachers as well. A lot of these things all come together to make a better society. I've had enough of it. Have you? Right. If you do want to help me and keep these podcasts going, don't forget, fancy buy me a beer or buy me a coffee. So it's www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt, or you can do one of those super things on YouTube. And if you don't want to do any of that, or if you're skint, that's fine. Please subscribe to Jon Gaunt TV. That is there's a button at the bottom of the screen. That is my YouTube channel. I would very much like you to do that, because the more people who watch, the more people who join in, the more people who argue with me, the more the algorithm will favor my videos and the more promotion we get. So I'm leaving it there. I want to say thank you very much. I don't do a show on Friday normally. I did do an extra show last week. I might do one over the weekend, but otherwise I'll be back on Monday at 6. I'm trying 6:30 now rather than going straight to 6. So I'll try 6:30. Best way to find out what I'm doing is to become a follower, a subscriber of Jon Gaunt TV on YouTube. All right, that's me done then. Thanks very much for watching, listening. Please keep telling your mates about it. And remember, if you've got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. Hey, don't forget to tell them you love them. See you soon. Bye.